mentioned in several of my videos that I went through a garden redesign this year, and so I thought I'd walk you through some of the changes that we've made. So I'll just do a quick tour. Sorry for the lighting, it is midday, so it's pretty bright outside. It's a beautiful May day, warmish. We actually have a cooling trend, which is awesome. But here's my beautiful lady Emma Hamilton, who I've talked about. It's nearing the end of this first flush. I've got to get out here and do some deadheading, but it's still got some beautiful blooms to brighten my day. I have that underplanted with Snow in Summer and a dark purple bearded iris, which are done for the season, of course, and I've gone through and deadheaded those. And then the first major change that we have here is this used to be a lawn. This was a green lawn that took a lot of effort to look good because it slopes, and so the water would drain off, and our beautiful borrowed view of our neighbors' Chinese pistache trees do suck up a lot of the water, but it's tough to grow grass in this climate anyway, unless you use a lot of water. So we thought this would be a better use of what we want to use the space for. So we actually ripped out the lawn and did a ton of work putting in beautiful compost and a whole drip system. We've moved completely to drip, and then we layered on top this mulch to keep that water retention in. So in this inner ring that you see here, I've got a beautiful white Gaura. I have some beautiful Jazzberry Proven Winner Supertunias for a little pop of color while the other plants fill in. This is a Rockin' Salvia sage that will get pretty large. And then I have a peony that's never bloomed. I actually just relocated this from a more shady bed. So I'm going to give it a year or two to see if it will bloom for me. And if not, out it goes. I am definitely a tough love gardener. And I have a heliobore. And then I have some other things. I forget the name of that shrub. And I've got cranesbill geranium. I've got a variegated gardenia. I've got some penstemon. I think this is called Midnight Sky. I've got a cousin it. I just love that word. Cousin it. Isn't that a riot? And then I have my gate to my side yard, and I have my little herb garden. And I also grow lettuce here, and I have some Swiss chard. They're all starting to bolt in the heat, so I'll take those out. And I picked up some basil to pop in there. And then I've got a mint, which, ooh, poor thing, looks like it needs some water. It's looking a little thirsty. And then I've got my shade garden in here where I have my little collection of bird houses, which we had a bird family this year. They raised their babies this year. And let me tell you, I am so glad I'm not a bird mom because, boy, they work hard. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So in here, I've got a camellia, heliobores, a peony that I've got to get out here and deadhead. As you can see, it's really finished, and I'll probably relocate this one too. Got liriope, I've got green glow, azalea, a rhododendron that's only a couple years old and frankly just doesn't get enough water to really look good. So I'll give it some more time, but we'll see if it stays. And I just put in Japanese anemone. So some of this stuff I had before, I just relocated. Some of it is new. This was gorgeous a couple months ago. This is a Daphne. I actually have one here in the middle, and then I have a variegated version here. Then I've got some bearded iris, and then I've got new, just this week I planted the Brunnera. This is something is great. Alexander is great, I think. Brunnera with I want to say verbena, but that's not it. It's it'll come to me. The puffball one, and then I've got winter begonia, and I have them all through here. So I'm hoping these will fill in this section here. These were actually, some of them were gifted to me on one of my gardening pages. Someone dug them up and shared, and I don't have a good sense of, how they'll perform and how big they'll get. So I'm gonna let them go before I think about putting anything else in here. But so far, these Brunnera have done a really beautiful job of settling in. And I just love, in this shady spot, the way that the leaves really reflect the color. You just get a little pop of color even in this shade, which I just think is so pretty. So I might find more opportunities to put these in my garden if I can. So then from this view, you can get a beautiful sense of that Gaura and how that's coming up. I love the white Gaura. I have a couple others that are new. That Gaura I planted from another area in my garden. And then I have some new this year that I think are the pink and white. And I have to tell you, I'm not sure if I'll keep them or not. We'll see. I prefer the white. Then I've got the blue fescue in here. And then I've got a sage, and brand new, I have Veronica. I just planted those this week. And next to it, you'll see there's one of my Gauras, and it's not looking great, but that might be because of this little silly goose. She likes to lay on everything, and unfortunately, I think she might have a lizard that she's been messing around with. I might have to go play rescue here. She's not the brightest cat in the world, but sometimes she does manage to catch stuff. She's there next to my convolvulus, which I don't know, I may have to end up moving. It might need more sun than it gets there, but we'll see. Then I have that cool fountain grassy type, forget the name of that one. And then as I move over here, this is all still pretty shady. This is a Japanese maple that I have actually in a pot. You can see it there. And I have some dead nettle that I'm hoping will spread and fill in. It's the white blooming dead nettle. And I have some in bloom over here. So I've got coral bells and hosta. There's the pretty white dead nettle. I love the white. It just pops in a shady garden. And I've got all my hosta here. I've got an Empress Wu back there that I planted, 2 years ago. And it's just getting bigger every year. So I'm hopeful that it will continue growing. This, what is it, red tip photinia, we have 3 of them planted here. The one in the back had a lot of die off. So my husband and I got after it this year, and it really did open up a lot more sun back here. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we will find out how the Empress Wu does. And then you'll see here we've got another Rockin' Salvia. I think this is the Rockin' Purple. I've got some Cranesbill geranium. I have another cousin it. And there's the dead nettle with the white blossom. Here's our cool fire pit that we just put in. So this was just all grass. And we had a crew come in and help us lay this flagstone. I got this really cool fire bowl from Etsy. And I found these chairs from Lowe's, and they're super comfortable and all weather. So I'm really loving them. And as I pan over here, you see there's my Bubblicious, which I talked about in an earlier video. And then finally capping off this section, I've got a Curly Fries hosta. Isn't that just the cutest thing you've ever seen? I'm Curly Fries. And then I've got this cool blue glitter, Echinesium, I can never say it, but it's got a very tinge of this light lavender color, and it looks like exploding stars, super drought tolerant, does really well. As you can tell, I've got a, what should I call it? I'm blanking on the name of that guy, but that did not do well. Dusty Miller. They knew it would come to me. Dusty Miller's not so happy over there. This guy does great. I have my neighbor's pomegranate tree behind us, and every once in a while the blossoms will be on a branch that overhangs our fence, and I'm so glad because we get fresh pomegranates in late summer. So over on this side, some more blue fescue. And then in this bed, this is really the bed that gets the most sun for almost all day. So whatever is in here has to be pretty heat tolerant. So I have some more convolvulus here. Behind it, an African daisy. I have a pugster blue. I have May night salvia. I popped in more jazzberry proven winter supertunias for color until things fill in and I get a sense of shape. I have a pittosporum, snow and summer, a ground cover rose, and more salvia here. This is the perennial salvia. I can't remember the name of it. And liriope and a native penstemon that got stepped on a few more than a few times, unfortunately, when we were building this up. So it's trying to make a comeback. And then I've got some more cranesbill geraniums there planted in a trio. What I am trying to do is, I think I just planted like one plant at a time, and I've come back and I'm trying to fill in and plant in more groups of 3. And so here and there where we have, openings, popping in things. I'm not done yet, but I'll really wait till our hot summer is over before I probably plant anything more. Then here in this bed, you may remember it from my Bubblicious video. So I have this whole bed in here that gets pretty much, sun for a couple hours. I've got some big trees around me that block the sun, so no one gets more than a couple hours in this bed. So I've got a sky pencil with verbena, and some of the verbena is doing better than others. Cranesbill, and then a fan flower, which is the first fan flower I've ever had, Scabiola. I didn't realize the blossoms were so tiny. All the pictures, I thought they looked bigger. This is more of like something I would maybe put in a pot, or maybe as it grows it might trail over. But I don't know, I thought it would be bigger. More verbena, and then I've got sea lavender, or also called status. I've got a pittosporum that's not looking very happy. It might be a water issue. I'll have to check out my drip. My sky pencil here. This is another one of the Daphnes. This is just glorious in early spring. It smells good. It looks good. It's just one of my favorites, and it's so happy. I have a native California lilac, a ceanothus. And then I have more snow and summer. I have a campanula, which I think I might need to get more of those. There's another one of the garas. I've got yarrow planted in drifts here, flanked with another salvia and a ground cover rose. And tucked in the back is an angel's trumpet that I started along with about 10 of its brothers and sisters from cuttings. Someone was trimming their bush and they had a bunch of cuttings, so I went and got them and stuck them in some soil, and they all grew. I couldn't believe it. I didn't realize they were so easy. So now I'm really thrilled, and I have a bunch. Though some of them aren't looking so good. I think they may be suffering from, I don't know, I think maybe spider mites. I've never had that before. So here's my beautiful Lady Emma Hamilton. Here's my beautiful statue that was more easily seen until she grew. Lady Hamilton grew over it, but I got this from one of the Facebook marketplaces. This woman was giving it away. It's a cast off from an old statue factory in Georgia, I think. I have 4 Aster Fricaris in here, and this one's looking really sad. So, and that one's not looking so great. I just planted them this week, and they're not happy. So I think I need to try again. So I'm going to pull those and try something else. I have a Bright Lights African Daisy, yarrow, gara, liriope. This cranesbill geranium is looking really good. I just love the delicate texture of the leaves, and then the bright pop of color. And then I have such a sunny spot here. I thought, oh, I will try putting some tomatoes in here. And I just tapped into my drip. If you see here, my drip line, I just tapped into my drip system that's under the mulch. And I don't have to worry about keeping them watered in our hot summer. So that's really the whole side of the yard that had the largest transformation for us. And you see, I really do struggle with these big trees and the shade that they provide and the water that they suck up about what we can fit in here. So then if we go over to this side, I'm just seeing my beautiful azaleas finish up. This was a really beautiful, bright pink, but they're done now. And I have a green glow, which is one of my absolute favorites. I have it echoed in the other corner, so I really like the repetition of color that you see. And I have them underplanted with Santa Barbara daisy, which is invasive. It does tend to pop up places you don't want it, but I find it's pretty easy to pull out, unlike some things. So we have our table where we like to have dinner. And then I move over here to my Royal Jubilee, which I had in a previous video. You'll notice if you watch that video, it did fade a little bit to a much lighter pink. But for the most part, it still holds up its color in the summer sun, which is awesome. And this is our fountain that we got when we went to Morocco last summer. I don't know if the sun's gonna let me get a good picture of it, but the picture might not show all the pretty color, but you'll see that I've got it underplanted with Supertunia Vista Snowdrift and Supertunia Royal Velvet and Tangerine, I think, Super Bells, all from Proven Winners. They're looking pretty good. They've been in the ground for a couple weeks, and I got them as cans. I might need to dial up the water a little bit more in here. And I haven't yet started on spraying them with BT yet, which is it's a must around here. The budworms will eat them crazy. And I haven't yet started any fertilizing because I did so much work getting my soil ready. I got 5 yards of compost and put it everywhere, so I feel like there's a lot of yumminess for the plants to soak up. And here's my Proven Winner rockin' something or other, blue, purple, can't remember. So looking gorgeous. We actually moved this and then moved it again, and it didn't miss a beat. It kept growing. And we moved it because it was too close to the roses last summer, and it all sort of crowded in there. There was actually 2 in that bed, and I moved another one right here with another David Austin. I don't know the variety. I can't remember now. I keep trying to figure it out, and it's either Almwick or Scepter's Isle, I think. But I've got that beautiful salvia there. I have a dwarf Meyer Lemon. I've got a Agapanthus. I popped in these annuals for a little color until things fill in. This is a plumbago. I've got a lollipop, or I think that's what it's called, or fireworks verbena. I can never remember the name of that. And I repeat a lot of the same flowers. So you see I've got another African daisy, yarrow, pittosporum, penstemon. And then I've got 5 Atlas roses that I've talked about in a video. They've been moved 3 or 4 times in the last 2 years. So they're looking a little, my pruning isn't great. So I'm hoping that they'll recover over the next few years, and through some better pruning methods on my part and some settling in time, that they will improve. I've got some more yarrow up here, Japanese anemone, and then I just planted these a couple days ago, meadow sage. It's part of the salvias, and it's a beautiful, it has that fuchsia red blossom, and the carex, I think it's called. That's the part that it attaches to, is a gorgeous mauve. And I love the color of it when it pops against the fence. And I think it brings an element here of sort of necessary color. I've got the Shasta daisy that it really looks beautiful against. And then I have a few more May Nights that I have popped in here as well. So you see this repetition color, purple, pink, apricot, white. I think you're getting a sense of the colors I like. I've got a ground cover rose that, I don't know, it's planted awfully close. I was hoping it would fill out this way, and instead, the way we planted it, it went this way. So I may need to reorientate that next winter. And I've got a verbena here that's looking a little thirsty, I think. And then echinacea, I just planted these this week along with those meadow sages, snow summer. And then in this bed I had a transplant of 1, 2, 3 wedding veil or bridal veil hydrangeas. The middle one, not happy. I think I have them in too hot of a spot. I was hoping that this would be a little bit more shady, but instead it's really given us full sun. So I may pop these out and replace them with something better. I don't know what yet, but something. And then in this bed, this used to be full of lamb's ear, which I need to figure out how to get back into my life because I do miss that gray soft texture that it brings. But in here I've got 3 baby nepidas and one that's a little bit more advanced in its growth. Let me tell you, the black cat, Mookie, that you saw before, loves this. She's over here, and I tried to get her off it the other day, and she like swatted at me and wow, yeah, and it's like, uh-oh, she's an addict. And then I've got some foxgloves that are blooming now, and then I've got some biennial ones that will bloom next year in here, and a random bearded iris that I have to either supplement. I have a whole bunch of them I can supplement or move it. I've got Fort Bragg hydrangeas in here, and they're super happy. I've moved them 3 times in the last 3 years, and I could never find the right spot for them. They just really suffered, and so I popped them into a pot, and I think I made the right decision. And similar to what I did with the tomatoes, I just hooked up into the drip, and I have the drip in here. So, and I've hidden it underneath this mulch, so it looks really nice, I think. These are the Mutabilis rose that I did a video on. These were the ones that I said I cut it down to like little 4-inch nubs, and they've already put on, what, 2.5 feet worth of growth here. So I've been really happy with that. And the delicate shades of apricot and pink and dark pink, I just love these so much. I also have another angel's trumpet, and this is what I was talking about. I don't know what causes this stippling. I thought spider mites, but I don't see any, so I've got to do a better job of investigating that and seeing what's going on. That vine is the bane of my existence. This is Morning Glory, and I pull this up, and I pull it up, and I pull it up, and it just keeps coming back, and it goes underneath. Look at how I just pull it, and it just grows and grows and grows and grows, and I cannot get a handle on it, and it grows everywhere and suffocates my plants. It just drives me insane. It's a battle that I think I will always be fighting. So don't ever plant Morning Glory. I've got a Japanese anemone that's looking very sad back here. Looks maybe thirsty. I'll have to figure that out. A hosta that looks great, and an African daisy that needs more sun than it's getting here. So because all of these plants, we started from scratch, ripped out almost everything. I think I kept, let's see, what did I keep? The crepe myrtles. Those are the only things I kept here. So trial and error. I'm figuring out what likes it here, what does happy, what doesn't, and I'm going to start moving things around and figuring it out. And I'll keep you updated as I get better at learning about gardening in this climate. Zone 9B means we have, we can get down to high 20s in the winter at night. but then we get into triple digits in the summer. So it takes a tough plant to exist and, in those conditions. And I have to tell you guys, I'm a tough love gardener. If things don't look good or don't do well, I rip them out. I don't really have a whole lot of sentimentality. All right, well, that's my May garden tour. Thanks for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed this, and we will hopefully get you an update here midway through summer so you can see how everything is filling in.